After the release of Nier Automata, the franchise found exposure that its first entry had failed to achieve. Although Automata was still comprehensive enough for those who were playing it as the first game, it struck some interest within gamers to try the first Nier game. Unfortunately, there are a number of reasons for which people decided against that decision. The first reason is that the first game was released as two versions in Japan at the same time. One of them is called Nier Gestalt and features a protagonist who is a middle-aged man, whereas the other one is called Nier Replicant, which has a protagonist that is a young male. To complicate matters further, the Western audience only got the Gestalt version and never got to experience Replicant as a result. The second reason is the fact the game is only available on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 platforms, which makes it harder to play them as of today. And the last prominent reason is that its gameplay is quite dated when compared to Nier Automata, which is of course a matter of budget and a gap between the two games that were released. Thankfully, as the 10th anniversary of the Nier franchise was upon us, Square Enix finally announced a remaster of the first Nier game called Nier Replicant for 1.22474487139. That's a mouthful name, but it got fans of both the first game and Automata very excited as they will finally be able to re-experience the game without going through any effort digging out the 7th generation ports. So, what's different this time around and why should you be excited for the Nier Replicant remaster? Let's get into the details and answer that.
あれも魔物だというのか。
お願いやめてください。
我らが王に歯向かうと
私は仲間を傷つけたくない。
俺には守るものがある生きる意味があるんだ。
Nier Replicant has the same brilliant writer as Automata, Yoko Taro. So you can expect a story that is amazing in quality and as impactful as you would expect it to be. Replicant's music is also composed by the genius of Keiji Okabe, who is responsible for the music of the sequels as well. This is a big deal because the Nier series have such good music that it's a running joke in the community to say this great music disc comes with a free game. Another important detail to note is that Nier Replicant represents the broader Nier version of the game, which is a fan-given title to variation of the game which features the protagonist who is a young male. If you're wondering what this means, the truth is not much. The story in both Gestalt and Replicant plays out exactly the same, and the only difference in the two versions is that the older male is supposed to be the father of a girl called Yona, who is central to the story, while the younger male is the brother of the girl instead of the father. These roles change nothing for the games essentially, and the only difference in the story is that the two games take place in different years.
ずっと一緒にいてくれてありがとう。
Speaking of the story, it's a shame that most of the people skip to Automata because Replicant has an amazing tale to tell too. The series originated as a secret ending to a game called Dragon Guard 3, and no one expected it to be followed up with an actual game. Eventually, the story of Nier starts off with our protagonist living in Tokyo with his sister, isolated in a world that is plagued by a mystery virus. Unfortunately, the sister is infected with the virus, and we see a bit of a time skip in the game where the world is now living in a ruined state, and the protagonist does odd jobs for a living to feed himself and his sister, who is still sick. It's hard to talk more about the story without spoiling it, but essentially it becomes a long journey of trying to find a way to save the girl while uncovering the tragic and philosophical secrets of the game's expansive world. The game is a long ride of emotions, depression, philosophy, and finding purpose within the chaos of the world. And accompanying this beauty is the game's amazing art design, which is a delight to look at, and a soundtrack so good that it will make every single scene more impactful than it already was. If you thought that Nier Automata looked and sound great, then you are going to love what Nier Replicant has to offer as well. Now, what makes the Nier Replicant Remaster worth the attention of those who already played the original release too, aside from those who will be trying it out for the first time? First of all, the game's audio is going to be completely re-recorded, which means that all of those voiceless dialogues in the side missions are going to be fully voiced now. This is an amazing update to the quality of the game's sound design because it was already known for featuring some of the best voice acting in the video game industry, which even applied to the English dub. Secondly, you must know that the gameplay of the first Nier has been criticized for not aging well and being too campy. Well, the combat might not be getting a complete rework. From the footage that we have been shown thus far, it is visibly much more fluid than it was before, and the clunkiness of the animations is gone. It's also being rumored that the remaster might have a few extra endings. Although nothing is confirmed yet, but even if these rumors are not true, the game already have 5 of them, which are more than enough to keep you busy for many hours. It is those little details that have always made the words of Yoko Taro stand up in the RPG world, and that's why Nier Replicant Third 1.2247448739 is a game that you should be widely excited for as soon as it's available to purchase. Whether you already play it or are looking to try it out for the very first time, the game is more than worth your time and money, and the new upgrades in the remaster will fix all the complaints that people have with the original release. And of course, if the sales of this remaster are successfully, we will see more localized games from Square Enix in the future, and the interest for more Nier sequels will be proven even further. That's all for this topic, and thank you for watching the video up to this point. If you like what you saw, please comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for instant updates on more of my content. See you next time.